Now we have most systems in place. We need to design design the core for I/O. Basically, it should be flexible enough to allow objects to be just thrown at it and saved, and then have the system figure out how to save it on its own. So you don't have to worry about like implementing things in like each class. So you don't have to like the player doesn't have to like in the player class you don't have to have like everything about how to save it. But so we can do this kind of like we did the event system where you just toss the event at it and the listeners handle it. We can have the same approach where you just toss an IO like something to save and then it'll save it, or something to load and it'll load it. Um, this is gonna be a little bit trickier because we're gonna actually have to return things. So basically, we're going to have an IO manager or something along those lines, what we can call it, and we'll be able to pass IO or save or load. We'll do these separately. And we can just do let's actually make this bigger. Actually, we don't want to toss it back. We can just have a function that's called. We can have like a future type system, or we can just have it execute a function. Um, I'm thinking the future thing would be better, like that idea for futures. Um, actually, no. We should stick with the function, the idea of having some function executed with it being loaded. Basically, we can just have it create a new event and pass it back, so that then it knows it's been loaded. That way, we don't have to wait on a future being well. Basically, we don't have to wait at all. It's just pushed to the event system. So, oops. So basically, we're gonna toss an event that has save com- save complete or load complete with the data that it loaded. Move this up so we can put whatever. Actually, we can just like this. So basically, we take IO event, then the listener produces an event if it needs to, which it most likely will, and then that event will just be passed to the event handler to be processed. The way we can implement this logic, it doesn't matter. I think the default implementation I'm going to provide can be using JSON, which is basically going to store everything as JSON, but that's just the library I'm going to be using. Well, JSON is going to be the library I'm using. But that's completely irrelevant, as we don't need to specify that in the core. We're just going to write the listeners to do it with that. And I think that's going to be robust enough to handle anything. Basically, the reason why we want to have this as a separate manager is because we don't want to have events blocking the event handler, because that's processing everything, and if you have some long IO operation going on, you don't want the entire game to stop while that happens. So basically, we're going to have a whole separate system for IO. This can range from database queries, reading files, loading various data like shop definitions or something. It really doesn't matter. It's just we need a framework for that to happen, for this to be done, and it should be robust enough to handle everything you can throw at it. Trying to think of some corner cases quickly that it wouldn't handle. I really don't see any, as it's very general. We've dealt with scenarios that need to be, well, pretty much all scenarios are going to have some form of callback, which we're going to handle with our event system. The only issue I think is going to be that it's kind of annoying. They're going to have to break things up, but you really shouldn't have to. So like if you want to load a player or something, you just break it up into discrete or small units, multiple events per loading. Should be fine, because our event handler should be able to pump out a lot of stuff. I mean, it's like the same amount of work, just spread over a bunch of events. I don't think it's gonna have too much overhead with that. So yeah, this looks pretty good. I don't see any issues with it, so if anybody does, let me know. We can revise it, but other than that, I think I'll implement this system. Unless somebody has suggestions, then it'll be revised. So, see you next time.